It's like there's people out there that can't even practice social distancing because, like Brazil and the favelas and in India and Mumbai in the, the slums, the Philippines, wherever, right, worldwide in your impoverished neighborhoods, like it's impossible to practice social distancing because, homes are so close, it's unsanitary, so here we freak out, but it's like we have every resource. Like people are hoarding. I can't find Lysol wipes anywhere. Toilet paper was a big thing at the beginning, and it's like these people that don't even have that.
Yeah. Yes, it's so true.
Mhm.
But I mean, now we're 3 weeks in, 4 weeks in. This is fourth week, right?
I would say next week is the start of the fourth week.
Fourth week, yeah. So about four weeks in, how have you? How has your change been? Like, how do you feel like you adapted to this? I mean, you're cutting your own hair now. What's next? What's the next?
Well, so that's interesting. Yeah, I wanted to discuss this, and it's something that, as a concept that was introduced to me in 2012. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, is a Swiss-American doctor who created a study basically on death and dying.
Mm-hmm.
And have you ever heard of this?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yo, there you go. Okay, good. So you're familiar with it, and it's the stages of acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
So very quickly, denial is the first. So when it comes to this pandemic, it's like, it's not going to reach Canada. That kind of concept, that thought.
Yeah.
Anger, it's like, okay, why is this happening now? Depression, it's like, okay, I don't want to do anything. It's retreat, right? Like helpless, victimization, being the victim, bargaining. How little can I get away? How can I minimize the damage, right? Can I sacrifice the least to get the least amount of effect from everything? And then lastly is acceptance. So interestingly enough, so in my profession in real estate, this was used in discussing overpricing a home. Really, like when a seller prices their home and they're not selling and they're not getting showings and they're in denial as to like why it's not selling. And so it starts with, exactly that. The first thing is denial. My house is worth what I think it is, but it's not getting rejected by the market.
Yeah.
Then it's anger. It's like, well, my agent's not doing the right thing. The buyers are, idiotic. Like everything, the blame is of everyone but themselves. Yes. Bargaining. Then it's like, okay, I will reduce, but how little can I reduce but still sell? And then it's depression. It's like, okay, I'm still not getting hits and one's dying. And then later it's
3 weeks and not a single bite.
Yeah, and then the last thing is like, okay, I'll take whatever I can get now, right? Like, anyways, that's just an example. But that's actually how this model was introduced, and it's interesting how that can be applied to like almost anything.
Yeah,
I'm interested in knowing what your introduction.
It was when I was learning to deal with kids with dealing with loss and grief. I did a program. It was called I think it's called the Rainbow Program or something like that. Where basically you're helping. Well, I was helping kids, grade school kids, grade 1 through I think 5, dealing with like loss and death from a parent, right? So we'd have these kids that would come to this after school program, and I'd spend an hour with them doing all kinds of activities, but the activities were designed to get them to talk just a little bit. Like, it wasn't like a counseling session or anything like that. It was just to get them into a space where it's safe to share how they're feeling in that spectrum of that process, where they are in that process. So we had to become familiar with that process. And the one thing I learned was that even though that's how it's presented, it's not always a linear process. Sometimes they bounce around. Sometimes they'll go to the anger. Sometimes they'll skip over the anger and then come back to it at a later time, depending on the
Okay.
situation, what's happening. It's like, oh,
Right.
wow. It's a very actually dynamic model.
Yeah.
And like you said, it applies to everything, right?
I mean, it's not without criticism. I know people don't completely agree with it, and then even in the Wikipedia page, it says not a definitive. And of course, it's just exactly what you're saying. It's not going to follow that course exactly, but
Yeah.
the range of emotions that you're going to see, and generally, this is how it begins and where it ends. Begins,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. That's what everyone sort of agrees on. Like, yes, these are some of the emotional ups and downs of that process, but is it linear? It's
Right.
not
Sure.
real
Yeah.
different for everybody.
So you can see that society's acceptance of the times and of the situation and what's called or call to action is to stay home and stay isolated. You can see where different people are within this range,
Yeah.
right? Like, and you can pin an attitude to, like, and it's strictly observation, but like when I have had to go out, I feel like it's all senior citizens. So are they at the acceptance stage and they're just like, okay, like, they've bargained, they know the score, they know the risk, they're going to risk it, and I don't know, casually browse the supermarket instead of getting the essentials and getting out.
Yeah.
They're past the depression, they've lived a full life, maybe many of them are very happy.
Yeah.
But I saw a meme of like a 90-year-old Belgian lady. She had contracted the coronavirus, and she skipped out treatment because she's like, save it for a younger person. So obviously you see acts of kindness and the ultimate sacrifice like that, but then you also see like denial. Um, um, I was reading that there were still people out there like hosting parties and stuff like that. Play Daytona Beach, like spring break,
Yeah.
kids. I'm young, I'm not going to get it. So.
Yes. I think it's a lot has to do with the individual and the life they've lived. I mean, the 90-year-old who is content with life and has made her peace with where she is, and the process of dying is like I'm gonna die anyway. I'm not going to live out however long in fear of whatever. It's kind of like I can understand that. And yes, she contracted it, and yes, she's going out, and yes, she's a danger to everybody else, but at the same time I'm like, yeah, I still kind of respect that. Like, I get it. I
Mm-hmm.
think, like you said, you could pinpoint an attitude. When you go out, you know somebody that is angry because they're fighting over toilet paper, and the people that are in denial that are hosting parties. But the other side to it, I think, is a strong psychological piece, is your attitude will determine your destiny. Like, that's a quote that's been said and resaid in many, many ways. And I think a lot of people that take the approach of, okay, yes, this is a serious matter. However, I won't allow this to take precedent over my life. I won't allow it to determine how I'm going to live my life. Quality of life above all else is that type of personality. And I say that personality because that's the personality that understands in business your attitude will determine your success rate. Right? You've got to get the attitude of success before you start your business. That applies to health also. Like, the people that find healing, the people that recover faster are the ones that have the psychological strength to just go, okay, I get the reality of the situation, but I have this mental toughness that I'm just going to get through it any way that I can, or however that I can, or however I need to. That's a huge component. And I think when you look at medical research and you talk to doctors, that that deal with patients that are terminally ill and that sort of thing. The mental toughness aspect is a huge factor in wellness and wholeness. So that process that we just looked at about the grief cycle is important, because you got to know where people are at. You got to know where you're at in this whole thing, and we all are somewhere in that process, right? Because this is life changing, and it's, for me anyway, at the end of the day, it's like, yes, be cognizant of all the information, but it's information, and what you do with the information will determine, XYZ. So it's like,
Yeah.
get the toughness of where you're going, get the information so you stay informed, and then make the informed choices, informed decisions. And don't host parties. Wash your hands. Like, it's just, it's like, come on, people.
No, it's very practical, and like people I think are looking, pay attention into the news in hopes of, there are people that put weight on those articles that are like, okay, this is how you cure it, gargling hot water, like the steam, like what seem to be very practical things, but you're never going to hear anything that's like so aha, completely new.
Yeah.
More people that basically scour the internet for something like, like eat a frog, like they want to hear something obscure that works.
Yeah, exactly. People want that. They want the magic pill. It's like, I want a magic pill to just feel better and heal. They don't want to suffer. They want to avoid suffering. It's like, I would rather avoid the suffering than deal with the circumstance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you